Yeah, and I'm delighted to welcome the woman who led Cork to the title last season, a regular Camogie All-Star as well, Anna Geary. You're very welcome, Anna.
Thanks very much.
Strange not playing this year?
Yeah, it is. I think even my own body at the moment now, it's gearing up for championship because I'm so used to it. And I suppose, even the girls that are training out at the moment, you'd be speaking with them, the anticipation, and, I suppose the level of possibility that's there at this time of the year. It's a great place to be in, for all teams. Yeah,
now the championship is split into two groups. Is it fair to say Group 1 is tougher?
Yeah, I suppose it is.
It's got Galway, Cork, Limerick, Offaly and Wexford.
Yeah, it is. I suppose if you look at there's 10 teams now in the O'Duffy, challenging for the O'Duffy this year, which is brilliant. Limerick winning the Senior B last year, coming up to senior ranks. So I suppose everybody's going to bring their own strengths and weaknesses, but you would have to say Group 1, Galway, Wexford and Cork are three of last year's semi-finalists. So it is going to be difficult to come out of that group.
I was looking at the betting and it does appear that there's 4 teams seen as contenders and nobody else: Galway, Cork, Kilkenny and Wexford. What about Cork? Take us through Cork's chances first of all.
Yeah, I suppose if you look at Cork, they're the current All-Ireland champions, they're league finalists, and they recently won the Munster Championship as well. So they are, of course, every year Cork come back, they're always going to have, I suppose they're always going to be up there. But Tipperary ran Cork close in the Munster final. It was only a point victory over Tipperary, and I suppose that's just, a credit as well to Tipperary that they're driving on. But Cork would have a few retirements.
How significant is that?
Well, it is. I think a lot of the teams actually have retirements, but you look at Joanna Callan, cornerback, a stalwart for Cork for the last 13 years, and she would have won an All-Star last year. Jennifer O'Leary as well, a household name in Camogie. Angela Walsh is unavailable as well for Cork this year. And then you have Julia White, who's actually going to be missing the first round of championship. She's away travelling. And, Cork are playing the first round of championship against Galway in Galway. Yeah. It's a repeat of the league final, and Galway won that by 3 points, 215 to 212. So it'll be a very difficult opening round for Cork, but I suppose it's a good way to prepare for championship because you've got a tough battle ahead. All
right, then. Well, take us through Galway, because obviously they'll be hugely boosted by the league campaign, won't they?
They will. I suppose by Galway's own standards, having won the 2013 All-Ireland final, would have felt last year that they didn't do themselves justice. Tony Ward is back in with them again this year, and I suppose there is a level of consistency there and continuity. They would have a lot of retirements as well, most notably the likes of Anne-Marie Hayes, Brenda Hanney up front, Orla Kilkenny, the likes of Aisling Connolly's after taking a year out, and a few other girls. So there's a lot of personnel changes there. The McGrath sisters, Ola McGrath, she would have made her senior debut last year, and Niamh would definitely, I suppose, be two key players to watch for Galway. And Orla McGrath would have come off injured in the league final for Galway and would have really troubled Cork up front. So Galway will be really looking to push ahead, and I suppose they have a lot to prove, given the fact that they didn't do themselves justice last year, and it'll definitely be, it's probably the most mouth-watering contest of the early stages of the championship.
And third in the betting, Kilkenny, they're in Group 2 with Dublin and Tip and Derry and Offaly. They should come through that, should they?
Yeah, they should. You would imagine they will. Their opening round is against Dublin in Dublin, and I suppose, it's fair to say that Kilkenny are always up in the top 2 or 3 for the last few years, but they never seem to be able to make that final step towards actually lifting the cup. And I think if you look at Kilkenny, they have new management in. Elaine Aylward is unavailable for them this year, and she's a leader, and she's a fantastic wing back that drives the team forward and chips in with points as well. So having a leader like that missing, it means that they've had to rejig their back line. So Edwina Keane has now moved into full back, an all-star, and Jackie Frisbee, who's a fantastic technical ability, has moved out into the wing, I suppose, to use that driving force that Elaine Aylward would have been seeing. But Leanne Fennelly, last year's captain, missed the Leinster Championship due to being in Australia, and it's not confirmed whether she'll even be back for Championship. So again,
half the camogie world's out of the country.
There's personnel changes all the time, and they would have played the Leinster Championship against Offaly and would have won by 5 points. Denise Gaw would have been one of their main players there, and I suppose she's one to watch for the Championship. But it's a very open championship because a lot of teams are playing in the provincial stages, and they're giving great contests and great battles.
And the other team who you can't really write off, they've had retirements and lost players as well, are Wexford, who've dominated a few years ago. Yeah,
I think that anybody that, writes off Wexford, that's the rock you'd perish on. Yeah. Again, new management come in, Colin McGee has come in there, and
that'll bring freshness, will it?
It does, and I think, a lot of those girls have such experience. You don't even need to go through the names. Everybody knows, the Lacey's, the Jacobs, but there's a Una Sinnott, 17-year-old. She's an attacker, and she'll be definitely one to watch for the championship. And I suppose with Oulart Dabala having won the club All-Ireland and Shelley Clough being the captain, they'll bring, I suppose, that momentum as well into Wexford. And again, Wexford are always one of those teams that you can never write up. They're like Kilkenny in the hurling, that you have to always be wary of them. And they're playing Offaly in their opening round, and they would have lost to Offaly in the the Leinster semi-final. A lot of their regular starters wouldn't have been available that time, so it wasn't something to read too much into. But they'll be looking, I suppose, to stake the claim as well and lay down a marker for championship.
Okay, and the final word, the Anna Geary hat tip goes to who?
The Anna Geary hat tip, to be honest, like, again, I would have to say that it's the 4 that we mentioned would be the 4, but
you have to go for one.
I think it'll be Galway, Cork, All-Ireland, and I'm going to say Cork because that's what my heart is saying.
Okay, your heart, as a thing from your head. All right, well, Anna, we look forward to chatting with you as the season goes through, because of course we'll be covering it online on radio, of course, as well.